whenever someone makes a purchase, and that is like the happiest sound ever. Not because of the money, but it's affirmation that, oh, I shared something with the world and someone liked it. It matters to them too.
Yeah.
And so, or you give a gift and people are so excited. Not so much because it's a candle, but because of the story and intent behind it. Hi, my name is Morgan Williams, but I go by Morgan Russell for my company name. And so, yeah, Chicago born, Houston raised, Atlanta led,
Hey.
and now in the business of making things beautiful and helping myself and others find moments of presence in their life. So I run a candle company called Molit. And so at Molit, we specialize in handcrafted soy candles that have labels on them that really help you to take a moment of mindfulness or encourage you to take a moment of mindfulness, really make that a ritual for your life with something as simple as lighting a candle every day. And yeah, we also believe in sustainability as well. So as we think about Mother Earth and how to protect it, we think about this idea of everything has more than one life. And so we specialize in making candles where their vessels could be reused. We actually started where we upcycled vessels. Now we recycle vessels. First of all, I was a candle junkie far before I started.
Before you even started.
But as I got into the business aspect of it, I learned that various wax types that are used to create candles, when we burn them, they release chemicals that can be harmful to our body. Same thing with, I know we all love all the lovely fragrances that the world has to offer.
Yeah.
But all these chemicals are not necessarily safe for our interior environment. And all these different fragrances, they are not natural. They are not healthy for us. And so we talk a lot about our environment as what happens outside of our homes. But I think I learned how important it was to think about what is your environment inside of your home as well. And what are you likely doing often that you don't think about all the time? Stories are usually the best way anything is ever learned. And so we use a lot of stories and quotes. And so from our social media accounts to I've had the opportunity to actually do podcasts and share my story with others. We've also started blogging, having some monthly blog posts to really just get people more engaged and understanding about what's possible, not just from a candle, but from taking moments to reconnect with themselves and the truth that is deep inside of us. So when we first started, we partnered with a retail store and we did on-site pop-up shops twice a week, which was super fun, getting to talk to people, share the story. It also really solidified us as a local business or up-and-coming local business. Which was really cool because we got real familiar with the community and the neighborhood. And what I also loved about that, we had partners. There was partnership in an established business allowing a rising business to host a pop-up shop. And so it really helped us community, just building community overall in the business community. With COVID, we went more virtual, so Facebook ads, oh my God, what's it called? Instagram, Google ads. So a lot of the different Pinterest. So these are some of the virtual tools that we're using in order to get our product out there. But now that COVID is still not over, but we're opening the things back up in different ways. We will be going back out to do, instead of more local pop-up shops, thinking big, like more marketplaces. So so like festivals and things of that nature
Nice.
To get the word out. Entrepreneurship is such a lonely place. It's like you're out here with an idea in your head, and you maybe tell a couple of people, and they're like, "Yeah, girl, go do that." Fabulous. And then you try, and it's like, oh my God, this is really hard. And here's this obstacle or that obstacle, or oh shoot, I didn't know I was supposed to even do that. And every day you're trying to figure it out. And every day there's such a good reason to be like, you know what? There are so many candle companies out here. If I didn't exist, it would be okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead with my life. Whenever someone makes a purchase, and that is like the happiest sound ever. Not because of the money, but it's affirmation that, oh, I shared something with the world and someone liked it. It matters to them too.
Yeah.
And so, or you give a gift and people are so excited. Not so much because it's a candle, but because of the story and intent behind it. So generally speaking, often candles are associated with this idea of self-care. And I think one problematic image or norm that we've clung to is that self-care is like bubble baths and very expensive massages that you do every once in a while.
Absolutely.
And I really feel like, especially with Molit, self-care is a daily practice. It's a ritual. As ritualistic as brushing your teeth may be. But self-care is really you taking a moment to check in with yourself. And that should be an everyday thing, not a once I get enough money for some expensive massage at a really as a Black woman, there's a lot of images about what we don't do. I actually became a certified yoga teacher. I didn't even know that. I became a certified yoga teacher at the beginning of this year, and it was celebrated not because of I was a new person to the practice to teach and expand, but
you were a Black
woman and Black women don't do yoga. I'm like, what? Oh gosh, these are horrible. We need to fix all these narratives.
Right.
This is not real. And I surfed at the end of last year, which again was like I can't believe you did that thing.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like Black women are everywhere doing all the things, and not just Black women, Black people everywhere are doing a lot of different things. I don't always think more is better, or I don't always think more is the path to success, and I've been very clear on that point. But the more I get into how I feel like I can actually help the world, I think more people need more time with themselves. And so I am thinking about how do we get more candles out there, but not just for the sake of candles. How do we get a bigger message or bigger movement? So you can find us at Molit, MOLIT candles, plural.com. And so you can see our featured Evolve collection. So as we think about, we've really brought in a lot of natural elements from the vessels themselves. They're handmade from concrete to the fragrance oils, really giving a nod to so many of our natural, beautiful fragrances that when you really take the time to enjoy them and mix them, they really just ignite just beautiful moments for your interior environment. So so our Evolve collection is live and popping, and a little known secret, but in the next couple months we might have something new coming out.
Hey.
Sign up for the newsletter and keep in touch.
Yes.
Whether it was fine art or whether it was acting or whether it was, graphic design or doing or whatever form of art it was, I always had a vehicle to put my concepts out there, and I always had a way to express myself, even if I didn't have the ability to properly communicate it. So when it became time for me to choose a career, I had the knowledge to know that I wanted something sustainable, but I also had the self-worth and the self-knowledge to know that I probably wasn't be the best if I had to work for anybody else. Thus, I became an entrepreneur, but I also found a field where I could sustain myself if I needed to work under somebody. And I still to this day jump back and forth between that, even with owning the Avery Creative Studio. My name is Jordan Jefferson. I am the owner and facilitator of Avery Creative Studios. We are a mobile photography studio located between Chicago, Illinois and Hammond, Indiana. I speak to the young Black entrepreneurs of both the Chicago and Indiana areas, or the Northwest Indiana areas. People sometimes consider Hammond as a smaller suburb of Chicago, even though we're a completely different state. So that's the community that I serve. I often go out of my way to help these people and to help them get started, as you know, we do both photography and graphic design. So I kind of help you, from all the way from their logos to their, to their websites, and everything in between is what we help them with. So a lot of the people that we deal with are people who are either starting off their businesses, or small mom and pop shops who have been around, who've been in the city for or in the town for a little while, and are looking to enter the digital era. We primarily use social media to market our business, and we also engage in public rallies. So if there's ever a parade, if there's ever a pop-up shop, if there's ever a social event, I am a type of photographer, and my business model is wrapped around this, where I never put away my camera. Even if I'm going to the grocery store, my camera may be in the car with me. And in a sense, I am kind of like my own walking billboard. Even though we do, we pay a heavy amounts of attention to like our online presence and the way we communicate online. We also pay a lot of attention to, me and my team pay a lot of attention to what we're doing every day. If we go to a fashion show, are we dressed like we just woke up, or are we dressed like we're a part? There's been times where I've gone places and people were able to knew that I was in arts without even knowing what I did. And that really comes down to branding myself and branding my business. Some of the positive ad images that I've seen are specifically related to Hammond, are relating to the childhood development. Indiana puts a lot of effort into making sure that the children have facilities that condone sports and art, and just after what is it called, after daycare, or after school programs. One of the negatives that I see at the same time, though, is that even though Hammond is a good place, it still falls into the market of lots of churches and lots of liquor stores. So while you have these programs that are really great for facilitating growth in kids, you also have an environment which doesn't facilitate a prosperous future for the people who, besides church, but if the motif of places where there's 100 liquor stores, also 100 churches, it's just not the environment that people prosper in. My desire to create my business definitely came from how do I explain it? It's kind of like a needle in a haystack. The hay being the lack of influence, and the needle being just that tiny bit of influence. Whether it was fine art, or whether it was acting, or whether it was, graphic design, or doing, or whatever form of art it was, I always had a vehicle to put my concepts out there, and I always had a way to express myself, even if I didn't have the ability to properly communicate it. So when it became time for me to choose a career, I had the knowledge to know that I wanted something sustainable, but I also had the self-worth and the self-knowledge to know that I probably wasn't be the best if I had to work for anybody else. Thus, I became an entrepreneur, but I also found a field where I could sustain myself if I needed to work under somebody. And I still to this day jump back and forth between that, even with owning the Avery Creative Studio. We still are technically employees of somebody. And I think the phrase go, an entrepreneur is just an employee to all. So I try to avoid one boss, and most weeks I have like 6. In the future, my goal is to open up my own studio in which photographers and other artists who are entering the entrepreneurial game will be able to start up. So it will work as not only as the only photography studio in Hammond, Indiana, and in close to that part of Illinois, being of the suburbs of Chicago, it will be the only photography studio. But it will also work as an incubator. So we will rent out the studio for low prices, let other people use the studio, and then slowly expand. My goal is to open up the print shop right next to the studio, and then, as the studio grows, we begin to expand into all of its subcategories. So we'll take the photos, we'll print the photos, we'll mail the photos, and then eventually one day I hope to own an entire strip mall or an entire warehouse where we also help design, where I can bring in designers and do different things like that. And you know, I may be somewhere with my feet up in France, but the facility will be there in order for the community that raised me to continue to grow. You can find me at Photos by Jordan J. And then if you want to look more into Every Creative Studio, it's very simple. And my grandmother pointed this out. I, in all of my business knowledge, didn't even notice this. But my website is A Very Creative Studio. So all of our social media is Studio Avery. And then, yeah, if you're looking for us, it's averycreativestudio.com or averycreativestudio.com.